Best believe I put $200 on Colt Keith to get a hit in his debut. Best believe he had an infield single. Banger. Got to start off the year high.
I don't even know what that means.
I know.
Who the fuck is Colt Keith?
A rookie for the Detroit Tigers. I've been a fan of his for 3 years since he was drafted in the minors. Yeah.
All right, word.
You're talking Chinese to me,
Bro.
I know. That's why when people talk about like sports gambling, I'm like, you don't understand. There's levels to this shit. Like,
bro, and Marc's level is like up here with the level of just degeneracy that I've witnessed when it comes to sports gambling and Marc, and him just like, bro, he'll like randomly just text me sometimes and be like, fuck, Dennis Schroeder can't hit 3 threes tonight. And I'm like, bro, what has you so like down bad that you got to bet on Dennis Schroeder to hit threes? Like, there's all these players that you could bet on, and you decided to bet on Dennis Schroeder. Kind of crazy, kind of wild.
Yeah, but that's why when people talk about like sports gambling, I'm like, listen,
there's levels.
There's levels. There's levels.
Bro,
to
I've
this.
seen this card collection one time, and he's like, see, what you got to do is you got to like find these baseball players like from 10 years ago, buy their card. Like, and you just like, you're placing bets where then the triple A's and hoping that they get to the major leagues. And like, he's holding on to these cards for like 6-7 years. I don't even know.
When
like,
are you bringing those cards on chain?
Actually, just had Collector Crypt on the podcast. So
hey, shout out.
That's part of the
nice little plug.
Yeah, we'll get that going.
Real world assets.
But also, I'm not holding those guys for 6 to 7 years, because if they're in the minors for 6 to 7 years, they are ass cheeks. So let's clarify.
Like
let's
so
go
like
3.
This,
you got to
so this Colt Keith guy.
Yeah.
You have a card of him, I'm sure.
Many. Yep.
That you bought 3 years ago.
Yep.
And today you bet on him to
get his first major league hit in his debut, and he did.
And now you have all these cards just waiting for him to become a superstar for the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah. If he becomes like MVP of baseball, I make a huge bag. If he doesn't, well.
So you really been on this NFT shit early.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. NFTs is light work compared to this. That's why when people talk about NFTs, like, what has it done in the last year? I'm like, bro, there's certain guys, I'm waiting for them 3 years just to get to the majors.
Yo, what if NFT communities talked about sports players and them, like, not doing shit to pump their bags on the cards, and you just every day were on some, like, Colt Keith, what the fuck are you doing? Where's the hit?
Oh, I mean,
where's the hit today?
I'm not going to lie. I mean, I've definitely.
Oh, okay, so you are a full-on community member.
No, I've definitely like tweeted at a few players in my day and just been like, your ass cheeks, and I hope you know your ass cheeks. Like, I won't go too disrespectful. Like, I'll keep it lightly disrespectful, but like, I also feel like you're paid millions. I can be slightly disrespectful. So, you know.
I love the players that are like, I don't give a fuck about your gambling.
But that's fine. That's fine.
I
respect that too. But like, you know, again, you're paid the big bucks for me to be able to tell you every once in a while that you suck ass. Like, I feel like that's
it's worth it.
To be fair, if somebody was like, Marc, I'll give you $10 million, but every once in a while people are gonna actually, I don't give a shit. Every day they're gonna tweet at you and tell you that you're ass cheeks. I'll be like, all right, bet.
So
Sick.
Frank's life.
Except without the millions, he's not. Yeah.
Oh my
Hey, I don't know.
Shots fired, bro.
My guy be, you know, he be mogging. He be mogging.
Are you talking about Mog, bro?
Oh,
You talking about Mog?
Hey,
you ready?
yo.
You ready, bro?
the shill?
You ready?
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
there it is.
There it is,
Hey,
baby.
yo.
There it is. I thought you were just about to take your shirt off.
For real.
This ain't that kind of podcast.
Bro, I swear, with Mog, like, I've been over at the house, like, multiple times, and just, like, all I hear about every single time, Mog.
Yeah.
Mog this, Mog that. And I'm just like, am I underexposed? Like, maybe.
I walked
might
past
be.
a
It's a
person
movement,
today
man.
with the Pit Vipers on, and I was like, in my head, I was like, do I say something?
Bro,
Like, are
anybody
they-
that I see with Pit Vipers on, I'm like, you Mog? Some random person on the street. I have no
Bro,
idea what it is.
When is Mog going to, like, get, like, a deal?
They do.
They have a
You
deal?
get 69 cents off.
For what?
That's no bullshit.
Where?
No, are you dead ass?
I'm dead ass.
You get 69 cents off if you buy Pit Vipers? But, like, what do they get out of it?
It's just funny. 69 cents.
How did they land that deal?
I can't remember. Honestly, I could be.
Like, imagine hitting up a company and being like, "Yo,
Listen.
69% discount." Like,
I want to say I'm like 95% confident that I'm telling the truth right now. But like I'm pretty sure they got that deal like early on, and that was like one of the things that was like just a funny part of like the whole kind of, I guess, like early days of Mog.
Yeah.
I could be completely wrong, but like I'm 95% sure. So 5% I'm wrong.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm just wondering, like, we can't get, like, Vipers that, like, say Mog on them at the top or something like that. Like, might as well
Like
Build
etch,
out the
etch it in a
brand,
little
yeah,
bit. Yeah.
You know, build out the brand a little bit.
I think they got to hit 1 billion market cap, and then that happens.
Or if that happens, then they hit 1 billion market cap.
Ooh,
Oh.
okay. I see
You know
what you're talking
I'm
about. Well,
Mog.
you need like the CEO of Pit Viper to just buy a
Mog
shit
it?
That'd
ton.
be insane.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
That would be crazy.
Honestly, CEO of Pit Viper.
I saw like a
Mog could
4-year-old.
be your move.
I saw like a 4-year-old wearing Pit Vipers, and I was like, I don't think you have Mog, but like you
They
could
honestly, they probably have more Mog than the CEO.
probably.
Well, where did the Pit Vipers originate?
Um.
In what NFT project?
Oh, I don't think they didn't originate in an NFT project.
Well, I know they're a thing, but I saw them starting to appear in PFPs. Was Mog first? Or
Oh, definitely Mog
okay.
for sure.
Okay.
I mean, I'm.
What came first, the Mog or the Pit Viper?
Yeah.
How exactly that came to be, how those two became associated, though, that I have no idea.
Right,
and
right.
that could be. Here's the thing. I'm gonna sound like a fucking boomer here for a second.
Here we go.
Did you know the term? And don't lie to me. I want you to swear on your parents' life here. Okay. Did you know the term Mog before Mog the coin?
No.
Okay, all right.
No.
I respect your honesty because
Yeah, no, hell
if
no.
I hadn't said the first part, you probably would have lied there and been like, "Yeah, of course."
No.
I never knew that
I'm
term.
not even gonna cap.
What is
no.
who came up with it?
I have no some hip kids.
All I heard is that they would be like, people would say Mog, I guess, on TikTok. So it's like a bigger meme, and then they turned it into
Gotcha.
a meme coin. And so that's part of like the bullishness behind Mog is that it's already like a term that's
Right,
being used, right? I don't know.
Not creating something out of scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I
does
guess-
seem like there's like multiple.
Are you looking up Mog?
Oh,
Like,
dude, Urban
meaning?
Urban Dictionary of Mog.
Read the Urban Dictionary.
Okay, so you. So there's a few different definitions. This one's back from 2021, so this was a long time
shit,
ago.
okay.
Which actually, it says it was submitted by Greek God, which we actually have a Greek God in the NFT ecosystem. So
Interesting.
it might be him that did this back in 2021. But it says a term popularized by modern day aesthetic bodybuilders, meaning sizing or dwarfing somebody in muscle size, fullness, and definition. Here's the in the sentence. Watch me, man. I'm about to fucking Mog these rockets over there. And then, Jesus Christ, that guy's about to Mog them. so that's 2021. There is another one, similar thing, Mogged, to have dominance asserted over somebody. Chad is like 6'5", totally mogged me in front of my girl, man.
I'm sorry for mogging you in front of your girl.
So Mog it's been a thing for a long time, but I didn't know the term before the coin came out.
Me
So,
neither.
Yeah.
But the little cat emoji and the pointing
That's-
emoji,
yeah.
love that shit.
Yep.
That shit is so funny every time I see it.
I
on
feel
the
like
timeline.
every coin has an emoji that they associate with, and that's like the one,
That's
with
the
the
one.
cat,
Yeah.
and the pointing.
Yeah. Honestly, like every time I've seen it, it's just like it gets me every time. I laugh my ass off. I'm not even gonna lie.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think 90% of this is just memeability. It's just It's not even like utility, like you were talking about before. It's like you don't even know what the hell's gonna happen. You're just buying it because everyone's talking about it. That's
100%.
really what it is.
And that speculation of like, yo, this shit could go up.
Yeah.
We could be riding the wave.
Right.
We're on the rocket ship.
But some memes become stale,
yeah.
and that's when shit just falls
I
apart.
mean, I feel like in the past like 3 weeks, we've seen so many memes become stale after like 2 days.
Yeah.
It goes quick. It goes quick in this space. I mean, it is wild. And I'm going to be honest, I bought the top on a few of them. So I'm not even going to cap. Definitely bought the top on several. So
Yo, seeing the shit with like dog with hat though, it's like incredible. You know what I'm saying? Because like that's a meme that's lived on for at least
And it's been in the
couple
news.
months
It's
now.
been
like
everywhere.
Like their market cap gone crazy. They're about to be on the sphere, aren't they? Didn't Ansem fucking raise that money?
That's crazy.
I would be more shocked if it didn't happen at this point.
Yeah,
in
I'm
time.
pretty sure
Yeah,
he
it's
got
crazy.
that. So
Yeah.
I don't know when it's going on the sphere, but
That's going to go crazy.
whiff.
Which next up, we got to get us just the Solana logo in general on the sphere. That'd be hard. That'd be super
That
hard.
would be fire. I'm not gonna lie. That could go crazy.
A DeGods logo? A cube.exchange logo? Let's just get crazy with it. Cube.exchange, we could make that happen. Let's talk to them.
Yo.
That'd be nuts. The Sonny and Marc podcast? Always Sonny in Markville? D Weekly? Come on.
Okay,
on the
but
sphere?
if you could put anything on the sphere, no logos, you had to pick a meme to put on the sphere. What would you put?
Ooh. Oh, like of any meme of all time?
Any meme of all time.
Any meme of all time.
Does it have to be related to Sphere in some way? Or
No,
it could be anything.
no, any meme. Just something that you would want people to see for like, if this shit was up for the entire day on the Sphere, what meme do you want them to see? No words.
You know that little girl that's in like the back of a car and she's got that like kind of egg face?
Yeah.
Do you know she's like 4. Like that girl, like that would just be funny because everywhere you just look in Vegas and you would see her kind of giving you that look like the fuck are you doing? So I feel like it would make sense because you're in Vegas and you'd see that and you'd be like, damn, she's out here judging me right now.
That's a perfect one.
What about you? What meme would you put, Michael?
I don't know, man. I don't want to be biased towards one meme or another, but there's the one where the girl is looking at the camera all weird, like with a smirk on her face, and there's like a house burning down in the background.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah,
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
All right, what do
She
you got?
actually just did like a updated photo.
Oh, I saw
You
that.
saw that,
I
right?
saw that. Yeah.
I love how they do that. They come
Yeah.
back later on and they just redo the same thing.
But sometimes I hate seeing their face now. I'm like I liked your face.
Well, damn.
I like
They
your
look
face
different.
where like I
Like
like
they
you
were
the way
4?
No, like don't make it weird. Don't make it weird. It's like I got used to you being the meme. I don't want to see you as an adult.
Right.
Like you know the there's the
Sometimes the glow up is nice though.
yodeling kid. You know the yodeling kid?
Right. What happened to him?
Mason, whatever.
Isn't he like an actual country artist now?
Bro, yeah, he's like a grown man now. And I'm like, you were funnier when you were 12.
Right,
like,
right.
I like, I thought it was funny. You had some, like, the viral videos and shit. Like, but somebody played one of his videos of, like, him singing now. And I'm like, it's not that great.
still
Like,
not.
Bro's just trying to do his career. Damn. He started in the Walmart. Now he's here.
You can't stay young forever, bro.
I know, but, like, now it goes from, like, you kind of look at it and, oh, that's adorable. Good for you. To now I'm like, all right, you're a grown man. Is it actually good? And I listened to his music and I was like, your music's kind of, I don't want to say trash, so I'm not gonna say trash. So how about that? I'm just not gonna.
All right, let's
Was
go.
it trash?
Let's go.
It was trash. It was
What's the meme? What's the meme?
I'm going. You know the SpongeBob meme when he's sitting in the booth with like the cup in front of him and he just looks like he's thinking, like he's just like head down and he's thinking. I'm putting that.
Okay.
Because then everybody could just think about all the decisions that they're making in Vegas.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Makes
Like,
sense.
it's like that. It looks like one of those. Like this pic of SpongeBob looks like after he's done something crazy. Now he's just like, fuck.
Yep.
Either that or you're just alone.
Actually, you know what? The real meme I would do
What?
is the meme of me. I mean, how could I not?
Yeah,
You got
honestly,
you got
how
a
did you
meme?
not say that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that you don't know shit?
Yeah, that goes hard. So yeah, that would be. I mean, I would have to go with that.
That's like some real DeGods lore, though.
Yeah.
But it would be kind of funny.
It would be funny because there would just be random people in Vegas who would be like,
That
"Why?
would like,
why are
yeah.
they telling us that we don't know shit?" And like,
'Cause, I mean, you actually don't.
you don't.
Yeah,
You're in Vegas. Like,
Nobody
you're-
knows shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at that point, your
Well, you
brain's
got to
dead.
find out. That's
Yeah.
why they're gonna do the
Yeah.
research, right?
Facts.
Do your own research.
Facts.
Important.
DYOR.
If people do that,
They
You
don't.
know, nobody does that.
that's
shit.
asking a
that.
lot.
That's asking
a lot.
a whole lot, especially now. People just be on some like, yo, this person did this, this, and this. Yo, do you have proof?
Trust me, bro.
Oh, trust me. Sources.
Yep.
It'd be like that, honestly.
So, anywho, Michael, should you introduce yourself?
Yeah,
feel
I
like
was
we
about
just
to say the
jumped
same
off
thing. Yeah,
podcast.
we went straight
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Michael K, partnership director for Wallet Guard. I've been in cybersecurity my whole life. It's a passion of mine, and I just like educating people. I like making sure that people understand what to do before it happens, because human nature is to not give a fuck until it's too late.
It's like
That's
condoms.
facts.
Like people don't use
Yeah,
them
yeah.
until you end up with a kid when you don't want a kid.
Right.
You know what I mean, Sonny?
But for your wallet, it's a condom for
No.
your wallet.
Word, yeah.
you
hell no. Actually, funny enough, I'm pretty sure I saw condoms with the Wallet Guard logo on them.
Yeah, we got those. Yeah. We hand those out at events.
Great.
It's also, look,
nice little play.
think about it. A condom is a wallet guard, because,
Yeah.
once
It
you have
is.
a kid, your wallet is.
Listen, man.
This is
man,
true.
I don't know. I have friends with kids. Shout out to them.
Oh, you probably got a few hanging around.
He's like thinking right now. He's like,
Mark. My mom would murder me.
Well,
Absolutely murder me.
she doesn't know.
Ain't no chance.
she won't if you got wallet guard, bro. Just make sure you got
There
wallet
you
guard.
go.
There it is.
There you
There it
go.
is. There was somewhere I was gonna take that. My brain. Just,
Yeah.
I just had
You got me all like, do I? No.
Now he's like really thinking about it.
Oh.
Oh man. No, but I mean, me and Michael met in East Denver. I think that was the first time we met. Yeah. Fun weekend.
That was awesome. I think East Denver has a completely different vibe than every other.
Bro, that's what
conference.
I was thinking when I was out there. Honestly, it was like one of those things where, like, it's not the major cities of like LA and New York and whatnot. And I feel like because it's a little bit more spread out, it kind of makes it, I don't know, easier to move around as a group and like come to different things.
Yeah.
But also just the vibes out there were, yeah, man, it was a little bit different. I feel like than most conferences that I go to. I feel like I was connecting with a lot more people like outside of like the NFT bubble,
right?
Which was really, really cool.
A lot of builders.
Was, like, yeah, I think that was the like dopest part. You had all these builders from a protocol level. Obviously, Ordinals took over with their mansion, and
shout out to Jen.
Yeah, shout out to Jen. That mansion was dope. It was literally a frat party for Bitcoin.
It was sick.
Kind of fire. You know what I mean? Kind of fire.
Needed it.
But yeah, it was one of those things where in that way, it just it allowed me to connect with like so many different people on all like on Sol, on ETH, on Bitcoin.
Right.
And yeah, man, it was a different type of vibe. So I think it's just I mean, you probably can attest to this too. Like, how important is it even just for yourself being in the space as far as like IRL events and actually taking the time and effort to go to things like that?
Well, that's the importance of building in public. I think that a lot of projects, they end up going nowhere because they're not out there. They're not pushing it. The founders aren't doxxed. And as a security company, like, I think it's essential for people to know who you are because they're putting a level of trust into you. So we try to hit up every conference, NFT NYC, Art Basel, Consensus, South by Southwest. We're all over the place. And the good thing is that if you show face and you constantly prove like, hey, this is what we're doing. And, this is our product. It's open source. We put all our cards out on the table. There's no excuses for people to be like, hey, they're doing some shit that they shouldn't be doing. That's not the case. A lot of projects, they're complete opposite. It's like, well, we don't want to know who the founders are. Well, that's what makes it go viral. But then again, the charts all look the same.
That's why I've said from the beginning, I think the undocked stuff makes no sense. Like, I just think
we know you think the undocked stuff this man's been docked since he was 5 years old.
Like, I honestly probably birth. But no, I mean, I just don't get it. I really don't. Like, I think it's one of the biggest things that holds us back is like, if in anything in life, you know who the people are who are running certain things or doing certain things, but for whatever reason in Web3, we're like, nobody can know who we are. But yet the reality of it is, like, you see it all the time with people who like rug shit, and then like a year and a half later they get arrested, and you're like, oh, hey, you didn't escape that one. I thought you were on doxxed,
right?
And it's like,
right.
Okay, if you're gonna do shady shit, it will catch up to you. Like, that is the reality of it. I fundamentally will always believe that. And then if you're not doing shady shit, then who cares? Dox yourself and, whatever. And it doesn't mean that you have to. I'm not saying like you got to constantly post your face if you don't want to or whatever. If you don't have to, but there's really no reason to not dox yourself for the most part. And that's the other thing, because we had this conversation literally like a week ago where I was like, the crypto people, and I just don't get it, sometimes act like they're the only people who have ever made money in life. Because the amount of times they're like, well, but if I'm doxxed, somebody can find out where I live and rob me. And I'm like, bro, do you know how many rich people there are in the world that don't constantly just get robbed and murdered? Like, do you really? Like, you can just...
that's a little bit of a lame excuse.
Yeah, I can literally tell you where Justin Bieber lives in L.A. Nobody robs and murders him every day. So
I can understand if they told you, like, evasion or something like that, and they were, like, not trying to pay their taxes.
Yeah.
I get it from that perspective. Yeah. Well, not really get it, but,
Yeah, I mean...
For them.
Yeah. It's
well, that's why they get caught, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like there's really just no solid rationale.
Well, honestly, when I first got in the space, it wasn't a matter of like thinking like, oh, does it matter if you're doxxed or not? I was on the page of not being doxxed. I didn't want people to know like who I am in real life because I have this online identity.
Yeah.
But then as you get into the security space where, like I said before, like no one's going to trust you if you're just some random person on the internet. Well, I'll take that back. People get scammed all day long because they trust random people on the internet. But like, as a company, it's a completely different look. And that's why over time it made sense to do it. But
What was your hesitation before that, though?
Well, it was the concept of, we're in a space that's so new. Everyone calls it a scam. The banks, the news, everyone's saying that this is something you shouldn't do. Like, I didn't want my, to be personally associated with it. But then again, as time goes on, now those same people are the ones that are buying it underneath everyone's noses. And now the sentiment is completely different. Now, in other industries, I think that it makes sense to not reveal your identity. For example, is it logical for every time that you go out to eat, or you buy a plane ticket, or you invest into something, that all these companies know all your information? I don't think it makes sense.
Well, if you book did you say if you book a flight?
Well, yeah, you book a flight.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
gotta make sure you're not gonna, take that shit down.
Well, at the end of the day, though, if let's say we're like in a futuristic, type of scenario, and everything's, on chain and it's tracked, it's actually easier to find bad actors than it is right now with all this information, because you could just falsify it.
Yeah, true.
So a bad actor is gonna falsify. They're not gonna put their name on a flight ticket. They're gonna use somebody else's identity, right? So that information is not tracked. But at the end of the day, like, they just are able to maneuver outside of the current system. I mean, look, like let's talk about medical. Okay, field. Yeah. How many doctors' offices, dentist offices, hospitals, whatever? How many places have you been your whole life that you gave all your information? You gave your allergies, your social security number, your credit card info, your physical address, all the information about you and who you are. You don't know where that information went. You don't know if they kept it on paper or they put it in a database somewhere that already got compromised multiple times. I don't trust any of it. But imagine that information was instead just a token that you give access to whenever you go to a medical institution for them to view it for a certain time period. And let's say it's an emergency situation. Well, emergency room has the ability to automatically check the token for X period when, let's say, you can't respond or you can't tell them who you are. Well, now you remove that middleman of all that paperwork, all the databases, data entry, people getting compromised because they're loose with their credentials, or their databases and the dentist office is not secure. Like, you're taking out so many different variables that just don't need to exist. And don't get me wrong, like, this wouldn't be possible 10 years ago. The technology wasn't as far enough. Internet wasn't all over the place. Hardware and software wasn't where it is. But now we're getting to the point where blockchain and companies leveraging this technology is the next logical evolution of not only currency but data management. Your even medical data, like I just gave an example.
Interesting.
And I definitely don't disagree with that. Like, I do think that there are times, like, I err on the side of two things. One, I do think the blockchain solves a lot of the problems that you just talked about, right? And I think completely agree in terms of, like, having it tokenized where they have access to it for a certain period of time. Completely understand that. I do think that at some point, like, I kind of look at it and I go, I just don't really give a shit. Like, and I guess, like, the reason why I say that is because I'm like, I know if you are over the age of probably 30 in America, your social security number has leaked already. Your credit card numbers have probably leaked. Your address has leaked. Like, all these different things. And I'm like, I don't really know if it's completely possible to keep that from happening. And obviously, in a perfect world, you would keep that from happening, right? But it's like, the way I look at it is as much as you try to cover it up, there's also people who are actively working as hard as they can to uncover it.
1,000%.
And so you're constantly running that game. And so the way I look at it is like, as far as like my social security number, there's certain times I have to give a company a...
What's your social security number?
It's 69, 420, 420. But crazy.
It has many digits as in a social security.
Whatever. It was a special one. But anywho, I paid extra, got that one. But the way I look at it a lot of times is I'm like, we're all just not really that special. You know what I mean? Like, how people will joke all the time, like the FBI's listening to your phone calls and stuff like that.
Yeah, out of millions of people, they chose you.
Yeah, I'm like, you really think you're that entertaining? You think you're that? And honestly, I'll be honored. Yeah. Like, I'll be honored because I'll be like, you really think my conversations are that electric that you want to listen to them? Like, if so, like, by all.
Well, here's the problem that you're that
this man takes that as a compliment. man. You'd be the easiest person to probably fucking like stalk, and then you'd just be like, "Oh, thank you so much for stalking me."
well, look really quickly, because now we're talking about AI and how it's being implemented into multiple different industries, right? So if they do have the ability to listen to conversations, there's an AI that could just monitor everything and pick up words that are words that they're looking for, right? Now you're completely changing the game because they already have access to it. They have access to remote viewing. That's scary shit. You don't know if someone's looking at your device or not. That's a backdoor. And we just saw what happened with Apple.
Yeah.
In their chips, they have the ability to basically be exploited by a malicious attacker. But I think that article was a little blown out of proportion.
It was, yeah.
Because I think a lot of people were engagement farming that article. So we actually did a breakdown, and I saw that you did as well. We did a breakdown on the concept of going to the source, because the way that these people are getting compromised is the concept of like they're installing something random that they shouldn't be installing, right?
Yeah.
Or they're being told like, hey, this is the real website for, let's say they're installing Phantom or MetaMask or whatever, and instead it's malware. It's something that's going to execute itself, especially on an environment that now is compromised. So
100%. I mean, we talk about clickbait. I mean, the amount of clickbait articles that were coming out around that Apple exploit, and it's like, yeah, it's basically just saying if you download malware that you're fucked. But like if you download, which has also been a thing for an incredibly long time, that if you download malware, you're fucked. Like
skill issue.
Yeah,
skill issue.
At some point, it's like you do need to be, smart about this kind of stuff. And again, it's like you have to keep your exposure to the point of, like, I look at it and I go, okay, at any one point in time, my information can probably be hacked. So let me do my part to make sure that if for some reason that were to happen, that the amount of, I guess, exposure that I have is minimal, so that it wouldn't ruin my life. Like that's kind of the way that I think think about it, right?
So you're like nudes don't leak and anything like that?
That wouldn't ruin my life. I actually
that's fine. That would help him.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, that would be like, my God, how is it so big?
All right. Well, let's move on to something else real quick. But no. In all honesty, a lot of people don't realize how much data they've given up over time.
Yeah.
Think about how many accounts that you've created since you had your first email address.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Hundreds, if not thousands.
Privacy agreements that I've just
hit yes,
scrolled and said yes.
Yeah.
And given up all this shit.
And this is the problem, is that I've been using this term. It's called data scatter. So your information's already all over the place. And like you were talking about, all that info's already been compromised. But I'm trying to be futurist about this. Like, what if someone that's born in 10 years is in a system that is secure, that they don't have the ability to run into such a loose environment of information being leaked everywhere?
So my kids could be hidden.
Right. Because you want to set it up in such a way where things get better, right? Things get more secure, not more centralized, because centralization is not secure. There's too many variables that could compromise it. Even in the scenario of medical information, there could be a disgruntled employee. There could be someone that leaks that information and gets $1 million because they submitted a zip file of every person's medical history to the dark web, and no one's going to find them. They're going to make money in the background, right?
It's like the dude that, not fully the same, but like the dude that like leaked the pictures of Kobe's death at like the helicopter or whatever. It's he was just a police worker and like took pictures and then was trying to like
he was at a bar
out of it and like and like leaking the pictures, and it's like shit like that where obviously you probably can't prevent someone from like taking the pictures and doing all that, but to the same sense of like someone trying to like get clout off of something or take it to the black market, like it's always going to exist.
Even in these companies that like, cell phone providers and social network providers, there are people internally, there's tens of thousands of employees. There are people internally that will take money to do whatever the hell you tell them to do.
True.
So there are certain ways that we can say AI and blockchain is going to remove the human element. But then again, what are you in control of?
Yeah.
Right? Like, do you actually own your own data? And this is why this tokenization that I'm talking about of your medical history or your allergies or all this information about you could eventually be something that you own, right? And let's take social networks. Right now, you go on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, You don't own your own pictures, your videos, anything you type. That's on their servers.
Yeah.
Right? Now imagine in the future, all these social networks are actually a shell of a UI, and you're coming and connecting your token that holds all of your photos and videos into this UI. And it's not copied to their databases and their servers, which have already been compromised multiple times. Even Apple, Microsoft, iCloud accounts, nude celebrity photos, everything's been leaked because that information is residing on their servers.
Yeah.
But imagine now the information resides on chain in something that you control. Then you change the entire landscape. And that's something they don't want. They want to own your data.
Yeah.
Your data is like gold.
And there
My
are
data
certain
is for sure gold.
there's certain times and I'm like, okay, there's certain data that does matter. There are certain times, for example, one of the ones that I guess like people talk about to the nth degree is the amount of times people talk about, well, if you say something out loud, your phone hears it, and next thing you know, you get an ad for whatever you were just talking about, right? And sometimes I'm like, low-key, don't hate it. Like, honestly, sometimes it's a solid reminder
I knew
of
that
like,
that would be your,
Well, 'cause-
your response to
well,
it.
because like there's certain times where I'm like, all right, listen, there
I
are
needed that reminder.
like, yeah,
I
like,
needed
oh,
to be reminded to go buy some sage.
yeah, like I forgot that I was, I don't know, I was talking about AG1 the other day. Okay, cool. Now I get an ad for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I don't hate
What
that.
is AG1?
It's like Athletic Greens. It's I don't know.
Watch, you're going to get those ads on your phone.
Yeah, 100. I mean, without a doubt. But it's like, to be honest, I don't hate that. There are certain times where I'm like, some of my data, to be fair, I don't care if because I would rather get ads that make sense for me versus me getting an ad for like, I don't know, fucking Barbie. Like, I don't need that. Like, what good does that do?
definitely need that.
But this is the this is the major problem is that the people that are complaining about it, they don't realize that they allowed it to happen.
Right, 100%. Yeah.
So when you do sign up for any of these social networks or websites, most people, Web 2 mentality is to click yes, accept, agree, allow, check the box, and hit continue, right? Install. I just want to get to the next screen. But this is where the power of reading, something we all learned in elementary school, comes into play. And we've seen this in the latest airdrop farming meta, where people were giving access to their entire Twitter accounts without even revealing their passwords.
Bro, yeah, to those tokens? Oh
Yeah,
my
because
God.
those tokens were saying, hey, in order to airdrop farm, right, you have to connect your Twitter to us. Now, there's different levels of permissions that Twitter requests or the project requests. And this was for some blast farming thing. Essentially, it was asking for the ability to read your DMs, to post as you, to remove friend requests or add people to your account. I mean, that's basically giving access to your account without giving up your password or 2FA.
Yeah.
And guess how many people did it? That day, the entire timeline was people farming it. And I was in my head, I'm like, yo, you all are sitting ducks. You all literally compromised yourselves because you didn't read. You didn't read the fact that this long list of permissions is about to give them access to your account in an unprecedented manner. And then you're going to say, oh, I got scammed. You didn't get scammed. You let it happen.
Yeah, which is insane, honestly. Like, giving your account up to an entire token just to airdrop. Like, I think we had what was it, like Portal Coin or something like that, like a couple weeks ago, and then it actually ran a little bit. I think that was the first one that that did the airdrop farming, and so everybody's like, oh damn, I faded like generational wealth and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, okay, it pumped a little bit, but like, is it worth your entire fucking account? Like, is it worth like them being able to like do whatever they want as you? I don't know. To some, maybe, but like, I don't know if you actually have like a platform in this space or anything like that. Like, probably not. You probably want probably want to stay more secure.
Well, look, some people say, oh, I don't have anything important on there, right? It's fine, right? But then again, and this is generally with an older generation. If I see that they have a smartphone, which everybody almost does, and they don't have a lock screen password, I say, why don't you have one? And the excuse is that I don't have anything important on there. At that same moment, I ask that person, give me your phone. I want to look through it. I want to look through your text messages and your photos and your notes. There's nothing important on there, right? And then they start like, and then it's like, well, what if you lost your phone? You left it at a bar and someone opened it up and saw all your shit. And you're already signed into everything. There's no security there. Then they start to think differently. And they say, you know what? I'm going to put a lock screen on there.
Probably worth it.
You got to scare people into being secure. This is
which is the craziest part, honestly. It's like you could just take a little bit of precaution. And honestly, I'm guilty too of like, all right, like something happens to me and then I'm like, oh fuck, like I could have actually taken some preventative issue, whatever. But yeah, like scaring people into it, whatever, I think it's definitely important. But I think for most people, if you're aware, right? Like for example, even all these links and things that happen in the space, wallet drainers, all this type of stuff, right? I mean, part of that is literally like, yo, maybe you just don't click on some random shit. Maybe you just don't go full degen and try and fucking ape in onto this thing that someone told you to ape in on the timeline that ended up being a wallet drainer or something like that. And honestly, there was probably like 4 red flags along the way before you even click that link.
Well,
and
look,
so like,
at the end of the day though, like a lot of times I keep hearing people say, don't click on links. Guys, the point of the internet is to click links. That's not how you Web3. Where you're not clicking anything. So I think if people are educated and there's like this default of security honestly. First, right? Then that sentiment changes. Then when people get onboarded and you onboard a friend or a family member, you're not getting that call the next day where they're like, yo, I thought it was a free mint. Where's my DeGod? Right? You don't want to deal with that. They took their hard-earned money and put it into the space, and you did them a disservice because you didn't mention security in any way. Not even the concept of, hey, read what you're about to click on and make sure it's the actual link that you're looking for. Right? So it is very scary, and it goes back to human nature. Even people listening to this podcast right now, they're probably not going to do anything until they get drained the first time.
Yeah. I mean, you have to, and that's the part where I'm like, and that's, I guess, has been my whole issue with the privacy aspect of things, is the amount of times somebody says like, I care about privacy. And I'm like, well, okay, but if you do, you're doing this, and this that I can name currently that you're doing. Like, okay, so you really care about privacy. Doesn't really seem like it. And that's kind of where I go back to the, the original part of that conversation of like the undoxed aspect of things. I'm like, okay, well, you're undoxed in this way, but you're doxed in this many other ways. Like it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like it's kind of coming across a little, what's the phrase I'm looking for? I don't know. Just doesn't add up. But, and I do think there's a level of like, people do need to be scared into some things, right? I mean, obviously, like I had that happen to me this past week where, I got a, all of a sudden I'm sitting here on the couch, 8:00 in the morning, and I get a little notification from Apple on my phone of somebody's trying to reset your Apple ID password, deny or allow. And so I hit deny immediately. I go to my computer, same notifications on there. And so 2 seconds later, get a phone call. And it's, hi, is this Marc? I'm like, yep. Hi, we're calling from Apple. Did you just get a notification that somebody's trying to log into your Apple ID? And mind you, it's 8:00 in the morning. I just woke up. I'm like, yep. I did get a phone call, or I did get a message. And they're like, okay, we're going to send a 6-digit number to your phone. Can you just read that back to us? So to confirm your identity. The moment they said that, I was like, I'm not an idiot. Like, I know I'm not supposed to give you that. So the guy was like, now here's the thing, and this is what, actually, I'm curious for your answer on this, because this is the only part of it that I didn't figure out where they were trying to scam me here, is, so I said to him, I was like, well, I'm just going to call Apple directly. Mind you, they had spoofed the Apple number. Right. So when I searched the number that they called me on, it does pop up as Apple. So they spoofed the number, which I knew they could do and things like that. But so when I was like, well, I'm going to call Apple directly instead of giving you the 6-digit, he had some sort of excuse. I can't remember exactly the reason why he didn't want me to call Apple. Obviously, we know because he was the scammer. But then when I said, well, I am going to call Apple, he was like, well, I'm going to give you a case number that you can give them. And so he gave me like whatever it was, like an 8-digit case number, whatever, which I never gave them because I was like, I'm not going to. But I was curious I'm curious if you think I'm right on this. My idea with why he gave me the case number is that I think he called Apple pretending to be me, started a case, and then basically when I would give them the case number, it would then basically give him access to then go in and like accomplish what he was looking to accomplish. So I didn't use the case number. I called Apple. Apple had me go through. I'm actually just going to say what they had me do. But they had me go into my settings, and then you go down to privacy and security, and then they had me go down to safety check. And then there's an emergency reset, which basically removes access from all people and apps and reviews your account security immediately. And so it took me 10 seconds, did that. And, obviously you have to go through and regain access to certain things afterwards. But it took me 2 minutes and kept access.
It's twofold.
I'm surprised you even answered the call.
Well, it was in the morning, right?
Yeah,
so,
first thing in the morning.
I don't even answer calls.
well,
you start calling me from a random number? Hell no. Did it say Apple on it?
I don't believe it said Apple on it, but it was like one of those things where, I do tend to, unless it says spam, like I do tend to just answer it just to see what it is. But again, it was like the moment they asked for the 6-digit, I was like, I'm not an idiot.
So with the case number situation, it could be twofold. It could be that they did call and they already have a case number because they're trying to act like you. And the other one is that they're just trying to seem more legit, so you stay on the phone with them and continue the conversation.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So now this is the importance of some tip that I always give out, and this applies for both Web 2 and Web 3. The tip is go to the source. If Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, FedEx, the IRS, the president,
your bank,
the IRS,
the bank, anybody,
no, even IRS, yeah,
I know you're the
yeah.
IRS. It's just
if anybody is claiming, if anybody is contacting you from any means of communication, text message, phone call, email, DM, anything with electricity running through it, okay? No matter who they say they are and how they're contacting you and what they're telling you to do, the alpha is go to the source. Meaning, give you an example. You get an email from Chase Bank. You have a Chase Bank card. And it says there's a fraudulent transaction. Don't entertain the links that are supposedly from Chase Bank. Go directly to Chase Bank's website to verify that claim. Another example, you place an order on Amazon. You get a text message from FedEx a few days later about your shipment. Don't entertain the links supposedly from FedEx. Go to Amazon and FedEx directly to confirm the shipment. Think about if we shared that one piece of information, which is go to the source. Think about how many families and people would alleviate from being able to be scammed so easily. And the amount of stress it causes families and people, and it causes people to get into depression because they compromise themselves, they get their money taken from them. It's detrimental to your mental health. So if we talk about this and we make it easy to secure ourselves, because security should be easy, but a lot of people don't employ security because they think it's complicated. The main thing that I try to do is really break it down to layman terms. I'm not going to go and tell you, make sure you install this firewall and you got to buy this $1,000 appliance. No, it's easy wins. Use an antivirus. Go to the source. Make sure you read, right? It's very simple, and that could completely change the landscape for how many scams that we see on a daily basis, not only in Web 3, but in Web 2.
No, honestly. It's funny because I used to work at Apple too, within the retail for a little bit, and the amount of people that would come in with these, like, there was like a scam going on for a very long time where it was like, you got to buy these iTunes cards. You got to go to Apple, buy these iTunes cards, give us the redemption codes like all this sort of stuff, right? And like, I remember people coming in and like, I'll never forget this person that came in and was just like very adamant on buying $5,000 worth of iTunes cards. And so like,
you got to question them.
Yeah. Doing our due diligence of just like, are you sure? Like, who's asking for this? Like, is it a gift? Whatever, right? Just all these questions, doing the due diligence, having multiple people talk to this person, and they're so adamant about selling it. And like, to a certain degree, at that point, it's like you kind of have to sell the cards. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you can't just like be like, oh, I refute service or whatever. There's like not anything there. Like, you really are just trying to buy a product, but it's like we can look out for you as best as possible. They bought that $5,000 worth of iTunes cards and came in the next day and was just like, fuck.
Yeah.
I got scammed out of these fucking iTunes cards and like all this stuff. And it was just like, you don't want to be in that moment like, yo, we were fucking asking you like 20 questions in a row, to prevent this from happening. But it's just like, even at that moment, it's just like, fuck, I feel for you. Like, there's really nothing else that like you can do in that moment, especially when it's like you've already given that information. Like there's no way for us to get those funds back. There's no way for us to, help you out in any way. And it's just like, bro, those types of feelings, it's like the amount of times that people have probably gone through that by just being on the phone, just being at home, and like not even going to a store and like having that happen to them.
Do you understand what happens when they buy those gift cards?
I don't think I ever looked into the back end of like why they were asking them to do like the iTunes gift cards.
So what ends up happening is people get a phone call from all these different places, Microsoft, IRS, whatever the case is, and they're told, hey, there's an issue on your network, and in order to fix it, you have to pay us in, Apple gift cards or Steam gift cards, whatever the flavor of the day is. And they basically coerce you. They scare you into thinking that you have to do this. And don't tell anybody you're doing it. Just go do it, right? Then they take those codes on those gift cards and they sell them on the black market for 1/4 of the price that you paid, right? So you can actually go to the dark web and buy $100 Apple iTunes gift card for $20.
Damn, that's the alpha.
No, cut that out of the cut it out of here. Hey, I know, but for real, actually, really quickly, talking about the dark web, there is a website called pentester.com, pentester. If you go to that website, you can pop in the main email address that you use. It's completely free to use this service. You can sign up for it, but you don't have to. You pop in your email address and it does a dark web scan on all the data leaks that you've been involved in. You might see passwords that you're still using right now. You might see that your email also is tied to your phone number, your physical address, your social security information. And this is why it's so scary that people don't even take the 2 seconds to see what's out there about them, and they continue using a compromised password. They continue leaving their phone number tied to their Gmail or their Twitter profile. They're sitting duck, waiting to get scammed.
Well, and that's where it's interesting because, currently one of the big subjects, by the way, real quick, this is a quick side note, we'll go back to serious. They really screwed up. They had a huge opportunity there to call the website Pen Inspector, which if you type that out, you figure that out?
15?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Mark.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Great
sorry.
point.
What a wonderful side tangent.
What are you thinking about over there, bro?
Listen, they had a huge opportunity.
You're over here like trying to protect him, and all he can think about is
okay. All right.
No protection.
What's running in the head, bro? The hamster wheel.
Listen, so in the last few weeks in the U.S., one of the biggest subjects has been this whole TikTok ban, right?
Yeah.
And my dad works in IT security, has worked in IT security for a long time, and he's been telling me for multiple years, dude, get TikTok off your phone. Get TikTok off your phone. It is giving insane access to China, basically. And I'm kind of I'm a young person who's like, hey, sometimes
you want to be on TikTok.
I like watching TikTok
Tell
videos.
us how bad you want to be on TikTok, Mark.
But it's like, and he's been saying it for years. Now the issue with it is, and this is like this is for sure a U.S. problem, probably an overarching world problem, but definitely a U.S. problem. Is all of a sudden people make that political, where now you've got people saying, well, it's just the liberals trying to do blah 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 blah, when really in actuality, it is truly a bipartisan thing where both Democrats and Republicans, one of the few times that they ever can agree on anything, they're both saying we should actually ban TikTok. But the moment that happens, I saw another video that comes out where somebody was like, this is them just trying to take your rights away from you, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, bro, you can't win, because truly, again, my dad, who has no affiliation with any of this, works in IT security, has been telling me for years, having to do nothing with politics or anything like that, of, hey, that app gives a shit ton of... Wow, that was...
What the hell was that?
His Bluetooth is...
Oh, why is my Bluetooth always connected to your...
How is it connected to the
one
microphone?
time?
It's connected to the Roadcaster. But also, that was somebody trying to call you to scam
Bro,
you
you should have picked up.
Yeah.
It was unknown caller.
Yeah,
we could have messed with
we
them.
could have scammed him.
Yeah,
right?
but see,
We
my
could've scammed him
problem...
back.
You know what my problem also is? I'll tell you this. I don't save a lot of numbers, and I get caught up by not saving a lot of numbers, because now I'm over here just like... oh, wait, who's this person? Who's this person? It's like, I really could just save their number.
Right.
But for whatever reason, I just don't save people's numbers. So it's like, if your number is actually saved in my phone, like, I really fuck with you.
Grow
I
up.
don't know.
Save people's numbers.
Does he got your number saved?
Yeah, he definitely does. He definitely does. Or he'd have to admit that he has my number memorized, which would be more concerning.
That would be
So
insane.
yeah, that would actually be far more concerning. But yeah,
Listen,
again,
it is what it is. He said grow up.
so well, because truly, come on now. But
Hey, sometimes you don't think you're gonna talk to them for that long.
okay, all right,
yeah.
yeah. But going back to it, it's like TikTok. You have that issue of people turning it into a political thing when in reality, like again, none of this should be political. This should be truly just a like, it doesn't matter if there's a Democrat as president, Republican as president, whatever. If it makes sense for us to say, and mind you, they're not trying to ban TikTok. They are trying to get Byte Corp or whatever the name of the company is to sell TikTok to a U.S. company. That is what they're trying to do.
So then they can data mine you.
True, but like, but again, it's like if we're gonna think about the reality of it, like
It's all good if it's your own people.
Right.
I would rather a U.S. company have our data than the Chinese
Bro,
government.
you were
Of
talking
course
about
you
before
would,
when you
Mark.
talk about things, it shows up on your phone. They're already, these are U.S. companies, right?
Yeah.
So like, it is at the same
Mark
time.
loves having his data mined by the U.S. Oh man, Mark would sign up
Well,
every single day of the week. Take my data, take my people, whatever you want.
It is like, but again, it goes back to it is where it's like it's a kind of a I don't know, damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Yes, would I rather TikTok be owned by a U.S. corporation that can? Do I trust them with my data more than the Chinese government? Yeah, I do trust a U.S. company more. Do I like that either has my data? No, but I also, again, I go back to like it is a brutal, brutal problem to solve the issue of how do we make it where our data is not sold because data. I mean. And here's because you do have to think about the practical use cases of data. There are practical use cases. Facebook was one of the greatest ad platforms for a long time of them basically taking and creating ads that were meant specifically for people who were ideal customers for those brands. They then removed a lot of the access that those brands then had to run ads, which made it where the conversion on those ads went down drastically, right? So in that situation, it's like they weren't doing anything crazy. They were literally just saying, hey, you fit Sonny plays basketball a lot. Let's send him products that fit a basketball player. That to me doesn't bother me. Like that, I would rather have that. Now you've made it more difficult for a company to find their ideal customer. That has its own issues too. And that's why this whole situation is so like data is not a black and white subject. There's a shit ton of gray area in it because yes, there are certain instances where your data makes sense for it to be used. And then there are other instances where it's used in the wrong ways. And that's what we have to try to figure out.
Well, the wrong ways. I mean, we've seen it. Facebook, Meta was in court for this.
Yeah.
For mishandling
Yeah.
this information. So like, sure, it could be great that, they know that Sonny plays basketball and all this stuff, but they can take all that information along with everything else they have on him, sell it to another company, and now you're just being bounced back and forth between all these companies, and your information's all over the place. But like, I don't want my information all over the place. How many pages of apps you have installed on your phone?
Oh, probably 3.
That's better than most.
Yeah.
But think about this: there are people that have pages and pages of apps of stuff they haven't used in a while. All those apps are made by third parties. Look, how many pages you got? He's like, good thing you didn't ask me.
He's a smooth 8-page kind of guy.
Oh my gosh, that gives me like heart attack. But this is very important because I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to this that have smartphones and also have computers. When is the last time you did an audit on your own data and devices? When is the last time that you said to yourself, well, these are made by third parties. They're sitting, running in the background. I could be actively being data mined. They could have exploits that are unpatched. It's taking up battery life. It's taking up space on my phone, right? There's all these different variables, but you go day to day using your device. Do an audit on yourself. Remove things that you are not using. Picture it like your virtual living room or your virtual house. My house, make sure that the only things I need there are what I use. It's organized. So when something changes, I can notice it immediately. Imagine I walked into my house and there's a brand new couch in the living room. I'm just going to continue living in the house. I'm going to say, who the hell put this couch here?
It would be nice though.
It would be nice. It was brand new. It would be nice. But the point I'm trying to make is if you know what's on the devices that you're using, when shit changes, you notice it. Otherwise, 1 million unread notifications, 10,000 unread emails. I see Sonny's starting to sweat over there. He's got a bunch of, things happening that just don't need to be there. And that doesn't make your device enjoyable to use. When I wake up and I check my email in the morning, I have no spam. The only stuff that I get are things I need to actually respond to.
If I showed y'all the amount of unread emails that was over my icon right now,
but this is the thing. It is at a certain point,
I'll tell you.
people could really, it's fixable. You can set your device up the right way, and it's at a point for some people that they're like, it's too far gone. I have too much shit going on. That's not true. Like look, let's say you get 1,000 spam messages a day. Is it practical to sit there and go through them and delete them? That's just like a nuisance.
I have 118,000 unread emails over
I'm going to head out.
over my mail icon now.
Let's see what I got.
6,
It's going to be interesting.
8, 9, 10, 11,
So I got
12.
Are you counting how many
13,
pages of apps
14,
you got?
15. I got 15 pages of apps.
That's crazy. That might be one of the most.
15 pages of apps.
That's
bro.
one of the most psychotic things.
You want to
I've
know
ever
how
heard.
many pages of apps I got?
One.
Yeah,
I already know the answer.
You know what it is? And you know how many? Let's look at my call log. It's empty. Why? Because every time that I'm done with dealing with a phone call that came in, I remove it so I don't have to think about it. So this way, at the end of the day, I can look at my phone and say, oh, this is what I didn't get done.
Bro, I'm going to start taking life advice from you, honestly, at this point. Like, I don't even just need the security shit. Like, bring my emails down to 0. Bring my call log down to 0.
Let's do it.
My pages to 1. That sounds like a wonderful life.
And listen, all it takes is sitting down and one day just doing it. Because the next day, you're going to wake up feeling a lot fucking better. You're going to know that your information's not all over the place. That all those hundreds of accounts that you set up since you made your first email, you purged all that shit.
Oh, no,
and
Marc has one email. He's just Marc Colcer at whatever, like, because he's just been Marc Colcer all his life. You know
but how many places know that? How many places know that?
Oh, everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere knows he's Marc Colcer.
But guess how many places know what my email is? Nobody.
I think there's a level of, like, to me, the way I look at security and data and everything like that, I look at some of this and I'm like, okay, there are common sense things that we should not do, right? Obviously, we should not tweet out our social security number. Would be a bad idea, right?
You don't think you should do that?
No. I jokingly put out
It's
a
a public
tweet.
address.
Yeah. I put out a tweet last week that I thought was funny, and I'm sure there's one person who maybe thought I was telling the truth. Where I was like, guys, when I'm in NFT New York, it's gonna be really difficult for me to manage my cryptos, so I'm just gonna tweet out my seed phrase. Can one of you guys take care of them for the week? So, I would hope that everybody knew that was a joke, but there's probably one person that's like, all right, I'm waiting for him to turn on that seed phrase tweet, but turn on my notifications for that. But yeah, I think there's to me, like, some common sense things that people should be doing. For example, when I had the issue with this whole Apple ID thing the other day, like a lot of people, I think expecting people to be perfect with how they're managing all of their stuff is impossible. I think it's an impossible ask that we're never going to get people to do. So I think we have to think practical. What I had gotten lazy with was my hot wallets had far more money in them than they should have, right? Mm-hmm. And so when that issue happened, immediately I went and put, all the excess stuff that I could not afford to lose onto my ledger. And that was something that, yes, should I have done that previously? Yes, moving forward, I will be smarter about that because, when I tweeted out that what had happened to me, there was somebody else who had the exact same scam happen to them that day, and they got drained of everything, right? So they probably lost $100,000. It was terrible. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, this is something where I needed that reminder to go and, make sure I'm taking care of my stuff, making sure I'm keeping my stuff as secure as I possibly can. That is realistic, because I do think that's one of the hard parts of, like, for somebody who has the 18 pages of apps or whatever that Sonny has, like,
don't be throwing shots this way.
along with the 100,000 emails, like, we gotta go baby steps.
Thought
with,
we were
like,
friends.
Well, we were friends. Or we are friends. That's why.
We were friends.
Oh,
Damn.
past tense,
Listen,
bro.
that's why I didn't say 118,000 emails. I just said 100,000. Okay? I didn't give the actual.
It's a little better.
amount.
It's a little better.
But the when I think about that, it's like it is a daunting task to then go and first off, like, go and delete those emails.
No, well, look, it's not if you handle it the right way.
Okay, so where does he start?
Where do you start?
Where do I start?
I'll
yeah,
tell you
that's
right
a
now.
Great,
I'll
that
tell you
is
right
a
now.
Great question.
Let's pretend you do have 100,000 on ready members.
We don't have to pretend.
We don't have to pretend. I actually
This
do.
is for the audience.
I'll show up.
This is audience value. Okay. And it's just impossible. There's like no reason for you to sift through all that spam and garbage on a daily basis. Create a fresh email address and tie all the accounts you care about to that email. Get rid of your old shit. Stop worrying about it. Pretend that doesn't exist. It's worthless. There, you're done.
What about if he gets a serious email to the previous one?
Like what?
I don't know. Hey, we have a tax form for
Do
you.
you think he's looking at it now when he has to sift through 100,000 emails?
I don't know. Are you just missing shit on a regular basis?
No. I
Oh
feel like
God,
I
he's
am.
missing. Do you see
I
that
bet-
smirk? He's
bro.
missing shit.
Yeah,
He's
definitely
missing shit. Look at
missing
that.
some shit,
That's the
bro.
shit. That's the look of a guilty man right there.
Well, look, and at the same time, like, if it's super important to the concept of like legality and stuff like that, they're gonna send you mail. They're gonna send you physical mail. You know, so there's
I don't even
nothing.
check that.
Well, I get no mail. I'm paperless. You know, like I get.
God, I am trying to set this lifestyle up. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, it feels good.
No paper.
My info's nowhere, right? I don't get mail. I don't get spam.
Wait, I got to ask you a question, personal question here. You know, we'll pretend we're not on a podcast right now. So, are you married, single? What's the situation?
Single.
Okay, so when you go on a date and she's like, "So tell me about yourself," do you just tell her nothing? You're just like, "Listen, you got my face, you got my name. What more do you need?"
Well, no.
Bullish
I mean,
as fuck.
I mean, look. True, yeah. No, but look, I have a history, right? Like I was the CEO of CompuTuners. It was an IT company. I was there for 8 years. You know, scaled out to over 15,000 customers, hundreds of business contracts. I had my first LLC when I was 16, my first office when I was 20, my first merger at 23. You know, I've been around the block, and if you Google my name, you'll see all that stuff. You'll see stuff that I want you to see because it's all legit stuff, right? Most people don't even Google themselves, and they got stuff on there that it might not even be true, right? It might not be true, but people are looking for it. Someone you're trying to work for might be looking for it, and that might detriment your job, even though it's not true about you. So this is why I'm saying services like Pen Tester, check what's out there about you on the dark web. Google yourself, see what's on the regular web, and take care of it. Take care of this data scatter. If your stuff's all over the place, then you're not going to know what's real and what's not at the end of the day. And that's how people generally get tricked. That notification that you got from Apple, it was within iOS and within macOS.
Yeah.
Right. But most people get so many notifications that they would think, even if it was a text message, that it was real.
Right. Yep.
And then they end up screwing up. And that's why this whole virtual lifestyle, bringing it into the physical world, you know, make sure your stuff is organized and you know where it is. If something new comes up on my phone, if something changes, I notice it immediately and I take care of it. Most people would not be able to because they got 18 pages of apps.
And 120,000 emails.
Shots fired again, bro.
Unbelievable.
We're using you as the guinea pig here,
Yeah.
bro.
My living room's disorganized too. It is what it is.
Oh, bro. If your living room is the same way your inbox is, I'm scared to come into your place, bro.
Crazy.
Oh man.
But-
But I do
yeah.
want to go back to the because honestly, we literally stemmed all of this from this whole like doxed and undoxed aspect, right?
Yeah.
You guys both use your like names within the aspect of crypto Twitter, and I feel like during like the come up of like when NFTs were first a thing, there was an allure of not being doxed, right? Like the anon, you don't know who they are, level playing field. And now I feel like we're at a point where like we don't really give a fuck about that stuff anymore. Every now and then it kind of comes up a little bit, like that allure is there, but now it's kind of used in a negative way where I feel like you almost have like anon accounts that just like, you know, people just feel like the freedom to say whatever they want because they're anonymous and they're not like their face is not out there that they have to like, you know, show who's behind the person on this keyboard or anything like that. And so I guess getting back into this realm of like, all right, people are not doxed. Do you think like we're continuing to move in that direction for crypto, for NFTs, for Web3, where it's like going to be even more important to not be anonymous, and even with the people that are worked with in the space, creators, whoever, that it's going to be important for them to be undoxed?
Yeah, well, look here. We've seen
Or
it.
doxed, I should say.
Yeah, we've seen it in the past year. A lot of people already changed their PFPs to pictures of themselves, right? And that's especially if they're working with large, prominent companies. You know, Decrypt, Rug Radio, Wallet Guard. Like, there's so many of these instances where they're also hosting real life events. And if you're undoxed and you're putting these events together, you're eventually going to run into people at these events, and they're going to know that's you, and you're taking pictures and stuff like that. So I think it comes down to like a networking aspect sort of thing. Like, if you want to be able to be looked at as like a real figure, somebody that's out there and building in public, like I was talking about before, you naturally have to be doxed. And if you're just coming into the space and you're kind of like, you know, shitcoin trading and you're flipping NFTs and stuff, then it doesn't matter, because you're not bringing anything to anyone's table. You're just pumping your own bags. You're making your own money. Or you're a ship poster, you know, like, does it matter if you're doxed? No, you're just posting funny content. You know, does it matter who you are? No, it doesn't matter. So I think really what it comes down to, I take like a Web 2 aspect to it. In Web 2 or in traditional business, you know, I was doing tons of networking. I was going out to, there's multiple networking groups that meet up throughout the week in the morning. There's like BNI and ProConnect. BNI is actually international, so it's all over the place. But I could just imagine like walking into a BNI meeting with like a mask on, like with what Frank did originally on your podcast. It just, people would look at me and be like, yo, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he telling us to install his security? It's sketchy.
In a mask, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like
mask and security.
It gets sketchy, but then again, you know, some projects,
bullish for DeGods.
right? But then again, some projects, they actually thrive off of anonymity, and it really depends on what the purpose of it is, whether it's an NFT or a token or whatever the case is. So I think really when it comes down to business, I don't want to deal with someone that's not doxed.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think to that anonymous thing. Well, I don't know.
Wow, you struggle with that word. That's a tough one, isn't it?
You got this, bro.
It is a tough word. I don't want to say it because I might fuck it up too. So yeah.
Like, when it comes to that, I remember all the speculation, because for some projects, obviously it's worked, right? The allure of the founder.
Actually, sorry to cut you
like
off. Do you care about like who the founder of like MOG is?
I don't care about the founder. To some extent. Maybe not for a meme coin.
Would it make a difference, though, is what I'm saying? Like, if you found out who it was and there was just some random guy, would it make a difference?
For a meme coin, no. But for an NFT project, yes.
Okay, sorry.
For a protocol, for sure.
I think it also depends, because, like, for example, with the meme coin, they're also not necessarily trying to pretend to be anybody else, I guess you could say, right? And for a meme coin also, nobody really looks towards like who's the founders of the meme coin. It's kind of like, what's the culture around the meme coin and who's the people rallying around it, who are the holders.
Right.
For example, right, like more people would associate MOG coin with K Money than the founders,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And so it, like, things like that, where I don't think it necessarily matters from a meme coin perspective. But yeah, from an NFT standpoint, I think early on there was that allure of, you know, obviously not being doxxed, and some people took that to an advantage of allowing speculation to kind of be within their project, and maybe that being a bullish case, but that, like, whatever that bullish thing is not actually going on with the project. I remember there was a project that people were speculating that the artist or the like creator of like Rick and Morty or something was like the person behind this NFT project.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and people were using that speculation as a means of like obviously pumping their bags and like rallying around it and everything. And then you find out that that's not really the case. And I think in that aspect, it turns into one of those things where it's like, you know, obviously you signed up for this whole anonymous like allure and everything like that, but also at the same point, kind of sucks that it's like there was that rumor and then, you know, it didn't happen. I think in the case of obviously with Frank, it's, you know, like you just kind of find out like, oh, like dude's kind of been like involved and a killer in things like previous to getting into DeGods, right? Regardless of how young he is. And I think that turns then into like a bullish case of like, oh shit. Like I remember when he got doxxed and everybody was like bringing up all these different things of like, oh, he's had a TED talk before of how he watched 400 movies like every day or something like that when he was in filmmaking, or he was in Y Combinator or whatever. And so it was like, it ended up being, oh, it's kind of bullish. but then you don't always have that, right?
Right.
And I think now moving forward, it's like people don't necessarily want to deal with that shit anymore of like trying to think who is behind this NFT project and who's a part of it. It's like, bro, just tell us and tell us what you've done before and why you're creating this in the first place. And
1000%.
you know, rally around it type of thing.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, because I think sometimes the excuse that a lot of people use for not doxing is the online identity and things like that, which I get, right? If you play a video game and you go by, I don't know, Big Baller 27, right? Like, and that's what you want to go by all means, you have every right to go by that. But if you become successful enough that you are in streaming,
Don't tell me your gamer tag is like your first and last name, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Bro, we literally had
Yeah.
this conversation 2 episodes ago with our boy Aaron, who was on here. We were talking about gamer tags. He was like, "Yeah, I've been playing Madden since I was 7. It's just Marc Colcer."
Yeah.
And
Make
he's
it-
talking shit.
But look, it's also the difference. Sorry to cut you off. It's also the difference of like I have a very unique name. My last name. Like I'm the only person in the world with my name.
I'm probably the same.
Really?
Yeah, it's not like, trust me, I've Googled myself. I'm the only Marc Colcer that comes up.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
would have thought that there would have been more.
No,
Marc
Colcer
Colcers.
definitely not a common last name.
Really?
And definitely not Mark with a C. Like,
Right.
that's the other thing. Like, that's also just in general not common. So,
Right.
But I mean, you know, again, I go back to it. Like, if you're playing video games and you go by Big Baller 27 or whatever,
Yeah.
and you become good enough that you get invited to tournaments and to stream and stuff like that, you are going to be doxxed,
Right,
and
right,
you
right.
know that. And so, if for whatever reason you're anti-doxing, they would be like, okay, well, then we're just not going to have you in like an elevated space, because
Yeah.
if you do end up getting doxxed and then you've got a background of, let's say you're a fucking pedophile, like they can't have you on a platform, like they just can't. So it's like, legally speaking, it would be a bad look for companies to come into Web3, work with people who are not doxxed and not know their backgrounds. Like that is a terrible idea. And I do remember when I first got into Web3, there was somebody that was like, well, you know, I came into Web3 because everybody's on the equal playing field and yada, yada, yada. And then he's like, and I've got priors. And I'm like, whoa. First off,
Put it out
like,
there, bro.
Well, like, okay, but like, depending on what your priors are, we may not want to fuck with you. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I kind of want to know what your priors are. Like,
Right.
did you murder somebody? Like, okay, like, you know, I probably don't want to associate with you. Okay, I don't know,
Do you think you've talked to someone at this point that's murdered somebody in the space?
didn't we talk about this at dinner the other night? That there's been multiple people that have like been arrested for murder in the Web3 space.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, but
What
that
the
you've talked, like you've specifically.
Oh,
like,
not that
one-on-one
I've talked.
to.
Not
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I hope not.
Okay.
I hope not.
Ties to you, bro. Like,
But it's like, you know, to me, it's like there's a certain level of like, I understand not wanting to put your like name out there to a certain extent. But again, I do think if we want Web3 to grow, the biggest names in the space have to be people who are doxxed. And I will always believe that. There's a reason why Thread Guy, why Frank, why Luca, why, Easy, all these different people are all crushing it. And it's like, because they are doxxed. And people know who they are, and there's a natural like a comfort you feel when you see their content because you know them and you know what they're all about. My podcast never would have worked from the beginning if I wasn't doxxed. If it was 2 dudes sitting there with a mask on, I don't think that thing hits. Like I just don't.
maybe it might for a little bit because like virality,
Right.
but then
And then
Yeah.
1 or 2 episodes they would have been like, this is fucking weird. And it's like, you know,
I
it's
can't
like,
even picture you with a mask on, like, and trying to interact with the world.
and just then wondering what I look like. It would have been a Web3 version of Love is Blind. NFT podcast guy is blind. I mean, like, you know, it's like, and so I do understand, again, to an extent of like wanting to have an online persona and everything like that is not associated with who you are as a person. I get that. Again, that's a normal thing. That's been in video games for an incredibly long time. But if you are looking to then create a brand, if you are looking to then, you know, do something business-wise in that, you are going to have to dox. And for Web3 to grow, we do need all of this to become that much more legitimate. And when we know about somebody's background, when we know what they've done, you know, if we're talking about somebody building some sort of protocol, I would like to know that you've been successful in your previous life. You know, if you've never been successful, it should be more difficult for you to raise money versus somebody who has been incredibly successful. Like, no offense.
Unless you have a good product.
But if you have a really great product and you haven't been previously successful in the real world, it is more difficult for you to raise money. Like, and so again, it doesn't mean you can't raise money, but it just means more people are going to ask more questions. That's not a bad thing. And so, it should be more difficult for me to raise money versus like somebody who's already sold 2 businesses for multi-millions. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's common sense.
For Michael to raise money.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. So.
Well, look, dude,
I'd
like,
agree.
No, but like, picture it from like, I was on Killer Whales. Imagine I wasn't doxxed. They wouldn't have me on the show.
Yeah.
They'd be like, who the hell is this guy?
100%.
So like, that's kind of like a scenario of like, you want to really take it to the next level. You have to.
Yeah, 100%.
I think from the standpoint of, this continuing to reach normies and this continuing to just expand in a way, they have to see real people. That's why, you mentioned the content creators and people that are putting their face behind these various types of content that's coming out now. It's like people can now relate to certain things that's not just text on the screen or anything like that. It's actually like you feel like you're relating to someone based off of the videos that you're watching, content that you're consuming, and then also now their tweets and everything like that. You feel more connected to that person than just an anonymous person on an account and just
well, it's actually interesting because Nakamigos just doxed their founder. He came out and said, "I'm the guy that created it," and everyone was speculating that it was like Beeple, right, or like some crazy affluent person in the space or whatever. And the guy came out and he had like 2,000 followers, which is not a bad thing. I don't judge who you are based on your followers.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people in the community that do, and they're like, "Oh, why should we care?" Well, because you cared the whole time. You liked his art. That's why you bought it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
if you lose those people, though, good purge. That's
how
I would look at it. Yeah. Like, if that was really the speculation on who that person was, really is what sold you, then like. Okay.
Then you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah. By the way, I do want to point out we got about 5 more minutes. We've been talking for over an hour.
Beautiful.
And 15.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know what? This is one of my favorite podcasts. Bro.
There we go.
We're on it.
Yeah. So how do we wrap this up? I guess like we haven't really talked about Wallet Guard. So why don't you, Michael, real quick, explain what Wallet Guard is, how it works, all that good stuff, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, sure. Everything about Wallet Guard is in one place. It's on walletguard.app. We made it super easy for people to know that security in crypto exists. We're not asking people for money to go build something. We already built it. We just passed 100,000 users. We've already saved people over $50 million from wallet drainers. $50 million that scammers didn't get, because people took the 2 seconds to check out what Wallet Guard is. So not only are we providing tools, but we're tying tooling with education, because you can't have one without the other. Could be the middle of the night, all your education goes out the door because you're just not paying attention and you click on something wrong. Yeah. And in other cases, vice versa. So being able to build it out, got a beautiful team. There's 5 of us. We all actually live in one hacker house. At the beginning of last year, we dropped everything we were doing. We moved from all over the world to one location to really scale, like hyper scale the application.
Word.
And, we were just, a link checker a year ago. Now we got the security dashboard. We got revoking approvals. We got transaction simulations. We just released a feature called soft locking, which for no gas fees allows you to lock your assets, NFTs, tokens that you care about, as long as you're using Wallet Guard, to stop them from being able to be, approval for on-chain actions or moving them out of your wallet. So there's all these different security layers that we're tying with education to really make it easy for not only people that have been here a long time, but also anyone that's onboarding anyone new into the space. For example, you might talk with your friends and family about crypto, and they might go the next day and try to figure it out themselves. They heard you talking about OpenSea, Magic Eden. They heard you talking about Phantom and MetaMask and all these different projects. Most likely what they're going to do, they're going to go to Google. They're going to type get MetaMask, install MetaMask or Phantom or whatever. They're going to click on a scam link. They're going to click on a sponsored ad. Also because they don't have an ad blocker or an antivirus, because that's just what people do. They're going to rug themselves out the gate, and they haven't even gotten in. And then they're going to say, this whole space is a scam. I'm not touching it. Instead, if you recommended Wallet Guard, we have multiple layers of security, including a dApp store. You can actually go to the dApp store, tap on the wallet tag, and get all the official direct download links for all the popular wallets. Because new people coming into the space, they don't know the right links. They don't know that it's OpenSea.io and not OpenSea.com or whatever the case is. So if we can reduce the friction of being able to onboard people, and we put security first, then we're going to keep people in the space. And people are going to understand what the point of all this is instead of just a get-rich-quick mentality, because that's how you get wrecked. So protect your crypto. Don't raw dog the blockchain. Use Wallet Guard.
That's a bar.
Don't raw dog the blockchain.
You hear that, Sonny?
What are you telling me for?
He's like staring right at you.
You know, you're probably the one with kids out here. You're probably the one with kids out here. That's why you got all this dad energy.
Oh,
It just naturally came to you because these
Kids
little
exist.
Marks are like running around somewhere. You left them in Detroit, didn't you? Moved to LA, classic.
classic.
Now
Disappeared.
You're just a stereotypical LA man. We got fucking, look at this. We got Air One fucking bottles. Look at that.
If they're not from LA, they don't even know what that is.
Exactly my point.
They don't know.
You do Pilates now. What about your kids, Mark? Are you feeding them? Are you sending them NFTs?
Got neglected. There's
Bitcoin,
no NFTs, no crypto.
Soul at least. Did you buy them some Soul at $12?
Set up an
Soul's
investment
going
account.
up, okay? I saw the Polygon. That doesn't move.
What's worse, fucking walking out on your kids or shutting them Polygon?
Oh my god, bro! No cap though. Polygon. I mean, they did some things. You know, I was in Decentraland. That was actually one of the first NFTs that I got. I hated NFTs 3 years ago. I didn't even know like 4 years
When
ago.
did you get your ape?
About a month after mint. That was my first
okay.
ape. Was a month after mint. I got it for around 2 ETH. Got my second ape, which is my main PFP and everything, for 6.9 ETH. And then, you know,
So you've been around for a minute in that community.
yeah.
Did you sell the top?
So my parents were like, they wanted to get into NFTs because they saw what I was doing with Bored Apes and everything in the space. I actually also held a bunch of events in Decentraland for different projects, NFT communities, and one of the largest events that I did was an official live stream for pay-per-view and DAZN into the metaverse, and that was like, you know, that was like the Pico top of Decentraland. But they were seeing everything that was happening. They're like, we want to own an NFT. So I was like, perfect. Other Side Mint is coming.
Oh no.
We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you.
Oh no.
An NFT, your first NFT.
No.
So I was able to claim 4 pieces of land because I got 2 apes and 2 mutants at the time. And everyone was talking about codas. And, you know, I minted 1 NFT for my parents because when I was trying to mint extra Other Side deeds for my accounts, the gas got stuck and my transaction failed.
Yeah, gas was crazy.
Yeah, so I was like, how am I going to get, you know, my parents an NFT? Like, the gas is insane, right? So instead of minting 2, because it was max 2, I minted 1. I full sent like 4,000 Gwei into 1 mint, and it minted. But it cost like thousands of dollars, right? So a few days go by, and they start to reveal, and people are like, yo, like codas. And I'm like looking at my land, and like I don't have any codas, so I'm like FOMOing. So I actually ended up like converting a bunch of ApeCoin, like 32 ETH worth of ApeCoin to like get my first coda. And I was like, yeah. And, you know, I got that. But then what ended up happening was it was like 5 a.m. and I'm like degenning, and I'm like, oh yeah, I minted my parents a deed. I'm going to go check their wallet. Bro, I go to check their wallet, and there's like a fucking like $400,000 offer. And I'm looking at the screen, and I'm like, what is that? And it doesn't look like a regular coda. It's a mega coda.
Oh, wow.
So I text my mom. I'm like, because
Please
it's late.
tell me this ends with you saying you sold it.
Bro. So I text my mom. I'm like, hey, remember, you know, your first NFT? Like, just call me in the morning because it's late. Like it you know, she's sleeping, and I'm like, you know, just call. Nothing happened. Bad happened, and then she calls me immediately because it's my mom, and she's like, what happened? Did someone get arrested, or like, you know, because she's freaking out.
Yeah.
And I'm like telling her the story about like, you know, the 100,000 deeds and the codas and everything, and I'm like, Mom, like you and Dad got like a mega coda, and there's like a $400,000, you know, $450,000 offer on it, and I'm like, what do you guys want to do? And my mom always hears me talking about like the terminology and stuff. And she wakes up my stepdad, and, you know, there's just silence. And then she goes, we're diamond handing it.
No.
I was like, let's fucking go. Right. So then this whole journey ends up happening. And, you know, Other Side, you know, goes up, it goes down, and whatever the case is. Eventually ended up selling it to, I believe it was Jimmy.eth. For 183 ETH.
Oh, okay. Still a bag.
Still a bag. And
Still a
then,
big
and
old
then
bag.
I took that and I bought them Pudgy Penguins. I bought them Neon Cats. I bought them Bored Apes, Mutants, fully staking all their stuff. So I set them up perfectly. Like they're good to go.
Yeah.
You know, so that it would actually turned into be like a really great scenario because think about like there's only 100 megacodas and there's 100,000 deeds. Like what are the chances, right? Like the stars aligned that day when I clicked mint.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
So currently they're up. Right?
Currently
Still?
they're up. Yeah.
Still?
I mean,
Okay.
the only way they'll be
Thank
down is if like everything goes down to 1 ETH and like Pudgy Penguins are, you know, like that's a savior of a bag.
You better knock on fucking wood.
Yeah,
Just,
I mean,
I
everything's
feel
got wood in it, so I just knocked on it.
there we
Shout
go.
out to Luca,
Yeah.
who thinks I look like BLP Colcer, which was the funniest thing that I've ever heard. But
I don't know who that is.
it's a
me
it's,
neither.
it's
Yeah.
a rapper, bro. I was like, and then when I didn't know who it was until I looked him up on the spot, and I was like, bro, are you serious? And, and then I showed other people, and they're like, yeah, we can see the resemblance and stuff. But anyway, I'm sure people are gonna Google it. They're gonna be like, what the hell? But no, it was a great ride. The ride's not over. I think it'll never be over. I mean, the point is not to turn crypto back into fake monopoly, printed all day, scam fiat, right? Like that's my mentality behind it. So, but it's been fun. I'm never leaving the space. I'm never going back to Web 2. Web 3 is my life. I just like educating people and to have your parents agree with it and to have your parents be a part of it is just a blessing because a lot of people's parents just don't understand what's happening. They don't like it. They say it's a scam. So it's really cool to know that I got the support from them as well, and that helped me get to this point.
That's fire.
That's a great
That's where
point.
my parents are at. They're on the. What the fuck are you doing in this space?
Well, they're wondering why you have 120,000 emails. They probably emailed you about this, but you don't even know. So I think that's a great point to wrap this up. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add before we wrap up? Sonny, anything you learned from this episode? How about that?
What did I learn from this episode?
Yeah, how
I
about
need
that?
to learn. I need to get my life together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boom.
Honestly.
I learned that if I minted NFT for my parents, I'm going to be honest, I probably would have just said, Mom and Dad, look at the one you got. Showed them the one I got.
Bro, so some people were like, well, yo, like, because I would never be able to do that. You know, like to go to. I love my parents. You know?
You're fucked up,
Yeah.
Mark.
Mark, you're
a terrible
messed up.
person.
I would have given them a
You are a terrible
I would have given
person.
them a smooth 50 G's of that and then said, you know what, my parents, listen, they're good. They're good. They've already, listen.
You're fucked up. You wouldn't have given them the rare, the one that you minted for them. You know, I minted something for someone like a couple weeks ago. I gave them their rare that was minted for
See,
them.
you're a good
you
human
know?
being,
Uh-huh.
And
you
I
know?
could have just given them both commons.
Well, I'm gonna assume that rare was not worth 450,000.
I mean, it's just the principle, Mark.
Oh, if that was this guy, if it
Just
was
the
worth
principle.
450,000, he would have been like, oh damn, you only got this common.
Yeah.
One
That
of-
would have been not suspect at all.
And then he would have tweeted out, look at the one I got. And that person never would have talked to him again. They would have checked the chain. They would have been like, this motherfucker. But yeah, no, I learned that if you do somehow mint a $450,000, you might as well just take it. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say take it. I'm sorry. Like, we get into this next cycle. I love NFTs. If you're getting a $450,000 offer, just take it. Damn it. And you could buy back. You'll buy.
But
be
what
able
if
to-
183 ETH is worth more than $400,000?
Well, but the ETH
at
offer,
the time it wasn't.
yeah.
So
No, but I'm saying if it becomes.
Yeah, but he would have
Right,
gotten
right.
he would have gotten $450,000 worth of ETH, which would have been more than the 183. See what I'm saying?
yeah, I mean, until ETH goes past it.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
well,
But you could have held it. And you
You
could
can
have.
never win.
Yeah. But again,
You
anytime.
can never win, but you could always win.
Yeah.
All right. Anything you learned from this episode other than like Sonny's the most disorganized human of all time?
Well, that I definitely learned. And I'm gonna help him. I promise, Sonny. We're
locking in.
locking in, bro.
Oh, yeah.
I learned that this is a great podcast and you guys are, really natural. You didn't hand me some list of questions. Generally that's what people do. And like I told you, I say, I don't want to see it. I want to do it off the cuff. I want to be able to be natural about it because I know what I know. That's the most important thing. That's how I built up my first business. That's how when I go to networking events, I'm able to just talk off the dome because I actually believe in what I'm talking about instead of using a bunch of, terminology that no one understands. So one thing that I do want make sure that the listeners learned from this, almost all of us are using Twitter. And during ETH Denver, what I did was I went up to 30 influencers that are in the space, a lot of them that repost what I comment on or repost any of the threads I make about security. And on the spot, I tell them, pull out your phone, open Twitter, go to settings, and you could see the sweat on their forehead start to accumulate. Account information, phone number, if your phone number still is residing in the settings menu of your account information in Twitter, you are literally putting yourself and all of your followers that trust you at risk, even if you have two-factor authentication, even if you think you got the strongest password in the world. All of that goes out the door because your information is already on the dark web. Your phone number is already tied to your email on the dark web. It's a matter of time before bots, scripts, or someone that's interested in your username or dropping drainer links because you have a ton of followers taps into your account. So please, for the sake of security and everyone keeping each other safe, because all we have is ourselves. Banks have multiple layers of security. We are our own security. We built this space together. Remove the phone number. It takes 1 second.
Bro,
Don't
honestly,
be lazy.
DeGods hit me up and they were like, if you don't remove your phone number, we're taking the badge away. And
Yeah.
I was like, all right, word. No
You
phone
got
number.
to force people to do it. And you know, one post that I made about a month ago, it was like, if you don't remove your phone number, I'm SIM swapping you tonight. Now, I'm not actually going to SIM swap you, but that post went viral and the comments were like, yo, you made me remove my phone number. Like, thank you. You know, this is why I was talking about in the beginning. You got to scare people into
My
being
G is
insecure.
instilling fear.
Yeah.
I think I also learned that, you know, due to, you know, popular belief, Michael's actually not a robot. You know, even though like everything is clean, there's no information out there anywhere, only one page of apps, no phone log. He's not actually a robot. He's a genuine human being.
How many unread text messages? None.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
That's because no one texted them.
Imagine. Geez,
All right, we're wrapping this up. That's another episode of D Weekly. With that,
Oh, yeah.
have a good day.
Stay safe.
Appreciate y'all watching, and
Keep
delete
your
your
wallet guarded.
phone number out of your Twitter app. There it
you
is.
go.
Use protection.
And otherwise, you'll end up like Sonny with 6 kids.
Mark, you got 12.
All right, we're done with this. We're done.
Keep her by the dozen, head ass.
See you guys.